Rachel, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Let's jump straight into this. So, why don't you just tell everyone kind of briefly how this all started for you and what you were doing before you got injured and all that?
Okay. Well, I had been running for a few years, at least a year, if not longer, on my OP. And when someone told me it was OP, I thought they were nuts. There's no such thing, or I wouldn't get it. But it was officially diagnosed, and I was frustrated because I tried doctors and physical therapists, and not that they didn't know what they were doing. I just never felt like I was getting better. And I even took a year off running, um, doing other things. But then someone suggested I join a Facebook group or look online a Facebook group. And that's where I heard about your clinic, the OP clinic. And I had read some other people that had been through it. And I thought, well, I've tried everything else. I can try it and see what happens. So that's how I found you.
Awesome. Okay, so as you jumped in and you started kind of throwing yourself into the exercises, how did you find the process to begin with?
Oh, at first of all, it's time consuming. It's not so much time consuming doing the exercises, it's time consuming watching the videos and getting it just right and everything. Um, and the first few sessions when you told me to do certain things and oh my God, your little tendon's moving on your ankle or something, you need to fix that. I thought, are you nuts? My gosh. And
Tiny
like
tendon.
down for 10 to 20 seconds doing the deadlift and more weights, I thought you're crazy.
Um, what was it like? So there was a crossover point where when you started doing the deadlifts, where you started to actually like putting more weight. What was that like when it kind of went from like weights are dangerous to like, oh wait, weights are good. Weights help. Like it's easier for me to not turn that tendon on if I have more weights.
Well, I guess it just clicked into place. It's not like there was any one thing or whatever, but I didn't even get that whole tendon thing at first. I thought, how can you not make that tendon pop out like that? But leaning a little bit more forward or something kind of helped that. Being aware of it. It's just I just couldn't believe that you were so nitpicky on all of these tiny things, you know?
And for anyone watching this, the tendon we're talking about is at the front of the ankle called tibialis anterior. But essentially, if it turns on, it means that your arch muscles are not activating. Not that they're not activating correctly and are not absorbing weight correctly, and that you're in a roundabout way, it'll be sending load into your pubic bone. If anyone is confused who is watching this. So essentially, so as you started to add weights and like how was it like talk about how was it like as I'm like sending you back these videos and like I'm nitpicking these tiny little things, how did you get yourself to kind of focus on these things when they seem so minuscule and I guess at that time like not important? They're like, you're like, I have OP and you're talking about a stupid little tendon in my ankle. Like how were you
Um,
able to kind of focus in on these things that at the time may not have made a lot of sense to you?
well, I mean, I just had to because you had to do it. And ultimately, I wanted to do it right to get to get better and to progress. I mean, there were times in some of these exercises I felt so frustrated. I just wanted to just be a little baby and cry and stamp my feet and but then I would tell myself, stop it, just do this and try it, Some of them were very difficult for me to grasp and to comprehend the connections and all of that.
Do you remember when we first tried to get your obliques to work?
Oh yeah, that was terrible. I couldn't feel anything working.
Tell people a little bit. Remember how I used to always kind of go on about like, so at the beginning of this program, when Rach is probably underselling it, was like a pretty intense athlete, pre-OP. So she liked to train in a way that, she'd really get tired and really feel her muscles burning. And so a big part of the process was kind of going, a muscle is still working even if it's not burning like crazy. And so she would do an exercise and it would be like, oh, you're doing that well. And she's like, I don't feel my glutes turning on. I'd be like, I can visually see them turning on, but what can you feel? And she'd be like, I can't feel anything. And then eventually we started to, like, what was that like, that idea of going, oh, okay, like I have to learn like really subtle details here. And I'm so used to doing the opposite of that, like pushing myself and almost ignoring my body so I can go further and faster and harder. What was that process like for you to kind of change your mindset with that?
Well, it took a while. I mean, I didn't feel that engagement there. I'm used to feeling things, like you said, and feeling it burn or something like that. I had to really pay attention to those minute movements and so forth. And I'll be honest with you, at first I just pretended like I felt it. And then,
I'm shocked
and
and
then,
horrified, Rachel. Shocked and horrified.
and then I don't know, something just clicked once when I was doing. It wasn't so much the banded ones, it was the one where I held the weight out and had to go like this. And I actually did feel that. And I thought, oh, that's what he means, and so forth. And even ever since then, I've felt that more. And then if I do more weights or do a lot more reps, like especially with the ones where the slam balls and everything, oh, you feel the burn after 240 of those, you know?
Rachel's making reference to a workout challenge that I love and is very dear to my heart, in which you have to do 240 slams. And what's your time at now?
Oh, I don't, I honestly, you know what? I did time it, but I don't completely remember. Maybe it was, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like that. I mean, it wasn't that good.
20 minutes? It's not bad. Remember that the record is mine, 1350 with a 1355 with a 15 kilo slam ball.
Yeah. It
It's
might have been more than 20 minutes then. I don't, might have been 40 minutes. I don't know. I really don't remember.
it's
I just wanted to get my 240 reps done.
it's like I always tell people that after you finish that, you should get a piece of cake. Like that is what you deserve after you finish 240 slams. You get to eat cake. Like that should be how it works.
But I had to take rests in between them. I couldn't do it all.
Oh, it's brutal.
Oh,
It's brutal.
yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, if you keep doing it, you get into a point where you can, but it's brutal. It's really hard. Marathon doesn't seem so difficult after that. What for you was the hardest part of the whole process?
um, Having to slow down and having patience with the deadlifts, that was difficult for me. And I still do my deadlifts on a slower basis than what I used to ever. And then getting certain muscles engaged and feeling that. Even today, I still have a difficult time. Sometimes I have to stop and like regroup and think, okay, turn this on or whatever, because it's not easy for me. I just want to take off and go.
What was the most fun? What was the most fun thing in the whole process?
I like those 240 challenges. And I was really nervous about doing that, but I like that kind of stuff, doing those.
They're brutal, right? I just like the idea of like I think as a therapist, you have to be realistic about like people will do what they're supposed to do until they're not in pain. And then they will stop doing what they're supposed to do because they don't have any motivation to do it anymore. Like someone like me, I'll always do ball slams because I like them and I enjoy them. But people want to run, people want to play tennis, they want to play. They don't want to sit there and do rehab exercises. So
Yeah.
like those challenges are in part to make sure you have the stamina to run really long distances without losing your form. But it's really me trying to like infiltrate people's lives and be like, hey, look, rehab can be fun. See, like make it like a challenge. Do this kind of stuff
Mhm.
to try and
And
make.
I liked that the exercises got more, they got more energetic as you go along too. Like up until the very end, that you've got the hill challenges with certain exercises, and then the that ladder thing, that
The agility ladder, yeah.
agility ladder, yeah, and all of that. And
Well,
now I just mix and match exercises and so forth. I pick so many and like, okay, let's do this amount.
no,
And,
that's the best way to do it as well. Like, whilst routine is good, like it's great to just kind of keep the body on its toes as well, and to just give all the different systems that you're addressing a look in different exercises in different ways. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
it's funny. Like you bring in that really good point, this idea that things just have to start with the base, right? So everything has to be slow at the beginning to build a strong foundation. But like if you stay like that, and I think this is where, and maybe you can comment on kind of your experience with rehab is, I tend to find that a lot of the time with standard rehab for OP, it's not that it's terrible, like some of it is, but not that a lot of it's terrible. they're on the right path, but it's often kind of here, and it never goes to step 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till you're like, jumping and changing directions and slamming balls kind of thing. Um,
Right.
yeah, it's funny, like, you have to start slow, you got to build stuff up, but it then has to become energetic, it has to become quick and fast-paced and reactionary, so it becomes part of your instincts and your muscle memory. How did you find, like, your rehab pre this in comparison to what you did in the program?
Well, they didn't tell me, my physical therapist previously didn't tell me anything that wasn't correct. And even when I started running with them, they told me the same things to do. My foot should land under my hip and I should be leaning more forward, quicker turnover. But it wasn't done in the build up the way yours was. They had very my okay, you had some kind of I don't want to say boring, but minute exercises where you really focused on form before you could move forward. And they have some very, what I would call piddly exercises to do, like lying on the floor and lifting your leg up and down or whatever. And they never really progressed from those exercises a whole lot. They never took those components and made it faster or harder or whatever. You started with deadlifts, and then you did split leg deadlifts and kettlebell swings, and then split leg kettlebell swings, and then walking kettlebell swings, and so forth. Eventually doing those side to side jumping things. My physical therapist before said, don't do those side to side jumping things at all. Those are bad for it. And like even jumping jacks, I wasn't able to do, and so forth. But I did some the other day in a class, and I felt just fine doing the jumping jacks.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like a lot of those exercises as well. Like, I want to be a good athlete, right? And I am such a bad, like physically not gifted athlete whatsoever. A lot of those exercises, like, I created in part from my back problem, and also created as well, as trying to fix OP, to just like create more movement out of my pelvis and movement out of my hips. So it's kind of like this idea of even like if you weren't an OP, it's like going, if you want to run better, you've got to get all the constituent parts right. Like, your glutes have to fire well, deadlift. You have to have good timing and rhythm, a kettlebell swing. You have to be stable with your pelvis split apart with one leg forward, one leg back, like running, split leg deadlift. You have to do that with rhythm and timing, walking, split leg kettlebell swing. Like, this idea of like going, not just for the sake of like building strength up, like to go up in that direction, but to just teach your body the importance of that simple thing to be applied in that really complex thing, right? It has to have a progression, otherwise your body's going to be like, cool, I'll apply that skill when I do this exercise, and I'll run however the hell I want to run, and never shall the two meet, kind of thing. Yeah, it is funny like that. That's my approach, and hopefully should be everyone's approach to any like activity. Like, if you pick up squash, it's kind of going, well, I want to learn a forehand. What does a forehand involve? Oh, it's kind of twisting, like an oblique twist, right? Like with the band or the weight. So it's like going, well, how do I bring that into I should do a few before I start playing to warm that muscle up, and then being like, okay, how can I bring that twist into my forehand? And then, now when I apply the technique, I can hit the ball exactly where I want with lots of power. That idea of like segmentalizing and then bringing it all together. I'm really passionate about that because I feel like that's the key to being a good athlete, independent of fixing an injury almost. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, last question. What do you think is the most important thing that someone who has OP needs to know? It could be anything, but what do you think, like someone who's gone through a similar process that you'd gone through and seen lots of people, what is the kind of thing they need to know? What do you want to tell them? What should they be thinking about and doing?
Well, I think everybody's different because, especially from having read some people's stuff online, I mean, some people have some very, very bad cases. And I had some bad times too, and then other times I would think, oh, it's gone, but then it wasn't. I think it's something I'm always going to have. I think it's going to be something I'm always going to have to watch out for and manage. That even if I'm not feeling anything, if I don't keep aware of my body movements and so forth, I could get it again. I mean, I'm not saying I don't have it now, but I could reactivate it or re-injure it in some way. Even like we had ice recently here, and I thought, oh God, I don't want to go slipping and fall in some way that's going to really open up my pelvis some way to hurt. So you have to be careful and try to put into place. If I do feel it starting up again, I have to like, okay, do I lean, am I leaning too forward? Am I leaning too far back? What movement can I do to change that feeling, the pain part?
I think you bring up a really good point there, which is the idea, and I think you could take what you're saying there and apply it to anything. If you jump out and you go ice skating and you don't like, and you haven't ice skated in years and you throw yourself out there and you have OP, there's a good chance you'll reactivate your OP if you're not present with it. But there's a good chance you could break an ankle or you could twist your ACL or do anything. Like the idea of basically going, I need to be, what you're saying without saying it explicitly is, I need to be responsible in my body now. I understand how it moves. And if I'm feeling pain, it's not because I'm injured or I hurt or it's broken. It's because there's something that I could be doing better to take that pressure away. There's something that I can be doing to kind of like do it better. And so what you're doing is you're going and you're applying skill to be like, well, maybe I'm not forward enough. Maybe I'm too far back. Maybe I'm not activating that core. And so you're taking control of the situation and you're kind of going, oh, my body's not happening to me. I'm controlling my body and I'm taking it. And you're 150% right in that if you do fall into bad movement patterns and you do move bad, and the longer that you've been away from it, the acute injury of it, so like in 12 months time you're going to feel it a lot less than you feel it now if you make a bad movement, because the area will just have had all that time to heal, whilst before you were constantly irritating it. But you're 100% right in that it doesn't take much to re-injure it, because all it is a set of bad movements, and if you start moving badly again, it will come back because it's always going to be weaker than the other areas of your body. But you like that thing you say about like you have to be aware, that allows you to make good decisions. And then if you do want to ice skate, it's kind of going, well, maybe I need to skate slowly and make sure I'm using my core properly and my glutes are turning on, and then start going faster and chasing people and doing kind of other things as well, to connect your body. But I think you bring up a really, really good point in that, yeah, it's you controlling that rather than other people, rather than something happening to your body and then you reacting and being worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. And for anyone watching this, hopefully you can take a lot away from it. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this, Rach.
Okay, well, thank you.
That was awesome.